Hi, this is Greg with Studio Network Solutions. In this video, we're going to look at Nomad version 2 and how to get your proxy files from EVO to a local storage disk. You can do this on a local level, or you can also do it through a VPN connection. But the process would be the same whether you're on a VPN or local, aside from the speeds at which the files can be transferred. Since we're covering gathering edit proxies in this video using Nomad, we're not going to cover the process of actually generating the proxies in EVO. Be sure and check out one of our other videos on how to set up presets and use ShareBrowser or EVO to generate the edit proxies. The first thing we're going to need to do to start this process is mount the share from EVO either locally or in our remote location. This can be done a couple ways. You can do it through the network connection in macOS, that's Command K or connect to server, or in Windows you can use File Explorer to map a network drive. Or you can also just use ShareBrowser to log in to EVO and mount your share from here. If you're remote, you're going to mount the share using the remote IP address through your VPN. Once the share is mounted, now we can start the process of gathering the proxy files. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to log into EVO. There's several ways that the proxy files can be found, from a Premiere project, from a folder on a share, or from ShareBrowser bins. First, let's go through a Premiere project. I have a Premiere project here. If I open the Premiere project, we can see that the media is on this EVO share here. Okay, so here's my Nomad test project that we're doing here, and you can see it has media on the Nomad share. What I want to do is attach my proxy files to this media so that I can work remotely. So here's the process. I'm going to take this Premiere project and I'm going to locate that project. Here's my Nomad project and I'm going to open that project. The next place I'm wanting to choose is the destination to store these proxy files. So what Nomad is going to do is going to query the ShareBrowser database, find all the media that's in this project, and it's going to copy that to my local disk. Now, there are a couple of options I have here to choose. In the settings, I can choose how this is going to be done. In this case, I have chosen to add the _proxy suffix to the files. Premiere likes that, so I'm going to add that. I am not downloading other files, which means it's not going to gather original file. If a proxy doesn't exist, it's going to skip it. And in the proxy options, I have chosen to ignore preview proxies, which are the ShareBrowser proxy files. I only want edit proxy files. So I'm going to save that config. And then I'm going to choose where it's going to store these files. In this case, I'm going to choose the Premiere proxy folder that I have here. And then I'm going to tell it to parse that project and find the media in the project and the associated edit proxy files. Once the files are found, you can see here, it knows the original media file. It does indeed have a preview proxy file. However, I'm not downloading those because I've set my system to not do that. And it also has edit proxy files for all of these. If it didn't have one, there would be one with a red label, not available. So I'm going to start the job and it's going to copy those files to this local disk. If we open up the local disk, we can actually see that that information will start transferring. First, it's going to make a copy of the Premiere project because in a remote workflow, I need a copy of the project. The goal would be to be able to take this local disk and work on this Premiere project away from EVO. So as you can see, in Nomad, the files are being copied. All right, once the process is done and Nomad has copied my edit proxies to the local disk, I can unmount this share. Now that we have everything on our local disk, we can open this copied project at the remote location. The first thing it's going to say is all of our media is offline, which is expected since we don't have our EVO share mounted now at our remote location. So we can just offline all here. What we do want to do is attach the proxies that we downloaded to our local disk through Nomad to our media. So now that our proxies are attached, and for this demonstration, I had EVO generate a burn-in timecode on the proxy media, so it was easy to see that we're looking at our proxy media. But now we can see all of our media is online as edit proxies. The process would be the same if we were doing a folder. The difference here, instead of Nomad searching the ShareBrowser database for media in the project, it's searching for media within a specific folder. So if we were to choose a folder, we'll select this other folder on EVO. We can tell Nomad to search the ShareBrowser database for the edit proxy media that is just from that folder. Here we can see some media is available, some media is not available. Same is true with the ShareBrowser bin. ShareBrowser bins allow you to organize media across shares into a selected location. Then within Nomad, it will find that media across all the shares and link it to the correct proxy media. And those are the steps of using Nomad for retrieving proxy media from EVO to a remote location. Once you have your edit proxies and are working from a remote location, there's another function of Nomad that should help your process when you're coming back to EVO. And that function is Delta. Let's work through our Nomad project in Premiere and see how that process will work. So here we are in our remote environment, and we have our edit proxies attached, but during the process, I need to add some shots. I might need to add a graphics file or some music to my tracks. This media is not going to be on EVO, but it will be within the project at a remote location. Let's add some media in to the project. And let's just create a new bin here. We'll call it Ads, and we will put our added media into this folder. This media is stored on another disk on my local workstation. It could be on the local disk that I put my edit proxies on, or it could be another disk that's at the remote location. At this point, it doesn't matter if I'm adding media to my timeline that is not on EVO. So here are my edit proxies. This is a shot I added. We can add another shot here. This media now has been added at the remote location, and I'm going to save my project. To make the Delta process work, we need to reconnect to EVO, and then we're going to locate that original project that we used when we first pulled the edit proxies from EVO to our remote disk. Now, once I've found the project that I originally used to gather the proxy media, I'm now going to find the project that I worked on at the remote location. For me, it's the project on my local disk. And now I need to choose where on EVO I'm going to have Delta put the media that I added to this project. I'm going to put it in this new footage folder. What Delta will do is it's going to compare this original project that we used with the newly edited project, see the differences between the two. The media that I added will be a part of this project, but it will not be a part of this project. So Delta will then copy that media to the location that I chose. So if we start here, it's going to pull through and you can see these are the files I added. Delta is going to create now a third project that is a merge of those two projects, and it's going to move this media to EVO at the location that I chose. Once this is done, there will be a copy of the new project and the media that I added in the exact same path that it lived at my remote location. So the Premiere project will know exactly where this footage should live. So from Delta, we had our original project, we had our remote project, we now have a third project with the new media added to it. So if we open this project in Premiere, Premiere will locate the media, relink it, and now our media is online. And that's how the Delta process works, getting media from your remote location back to EVO and linked to your Premiere project. Be sure and check out one of our other videos on how to set up presets and use ShareBrowser or EVO to generate the edit proxies. Learn more at snesevo.com.